the field comes into the stretch.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. Sunny skies on this first Friday of March, 2021. Temperature today in the mid-30s, and the main track is fast. And here are the changes for today's 8-race card. In the first race, and please note there'll be no show, trifecta, or superfecta wagering, scratch number 3, my brother Neil. Scratch the 3. No changes in the second. Third race starts the Empire 6 with the daily mandatory payout. Scratch 1A, American Rule, and 3, Inside Info. Third race, scratch numbers 1A and 3. In the fourth, scratch number 5, Loaded Joe. Scratch the 5. Nothing to report in race 5. In the sixth race, scratch number 3, Cover Photo. Scratch the 3, and no changes in races 7 or 8. Main track is fast. Today's first race coming up at 1:20. And we'll be back at 12:50 to recap the changes. Next up, the Friday edition of Talking Horses with Andy Serling and Anthony Stabile.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Big A Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling. You're out of the booth. You get some time to relax.
It's Gotham week, my man.
Gotham week.
Walked in with Johnny I. Legend's back.
Do you have any horses in today we should be betting on?
Johnny I? No, he doesn't. Very good.
Shows
Very
off your
good.
game, doesn't it?
I didn't see anybody else, though. No,
No?
horsemen or women, no.
It's sort of different these days.
See Johnny I, it's enough.
You don't see too many. We used to see everybody.
It's very
you see
true.
Bruce Levine occasionally. I mean, you see people. But, not the way it used to be.
No, not the way it used to be.
a little
Hopefully
bit
we'll get
quieter.
back to that one of
Looking
these
forward
days.
to that, actually.
Yes.
And I am excited about Gotham weekend as well. And we'll talk about America's Day at the Races in a moment. I taped a preview video for the Gotham.
That's a nice 1, 2,
Tampa
3
Bay
punch
Derby
tomorrow.
and the San Felipe. The San Felipe came up a really fun race.
All 3 races in an hour on America's Day at the Races tomorrow.
Looking forward to talking about those races and covering them. And you can watch that preview. I'm sure Naira will tweet it out. I will tweet it out as well. Follow that Naira Bets account as well. If you're not following Naira, at Naira Bets, you should follow that Twitter account as well. A lot of good stuff on there to find out about Naira Bets. And if you're not a member of Naira Bets, head on over to nairabets.com. Use the promo code MATCH200. We will match you with $200 your initial deposit. Become a member of Naira Bets. Support racing in New York. Keep the money in the game. Most important thing we can all do is keep the money in the game, not allow it to be siphoned out of racing to investors. Racing needs to always be reinvesting. Speaking of reinvesting, a big one of our big challenges of the year, $3,000 buy-in for the Gotham Challenge. You've got until 5 o'clock today to sign up. Cash prizes, but also NHC seats as well. All that information at naira.com/challenge. That's tomorrow, and that's a great contest.
That's a $2,000 live bankroll, by the way. So
$1,000 towards the prize pool, $2,000 towards your live bankroll. So even if you don't end up cashing, you will keep any and all monies that you make or keep. Also, America's Day at the Races is a short one tomorrow, 5 to 6, but a lot of good stuff in there. The Gotham, San Felipe, and Tampa Bay Derby will all be in there. As I said, that tape preview should be available fairly soon. And I mentioned follow Naira Bets on Twitter to get more information on things like that, as well as all the Naira Bet stuff.
we have all those races. We have 15 stakes tonight on the weekend stakes preview presented by Naira Bets.
A little concerned. There's rain possibly at Tampa.
There's rain possible
Will
at Tampa.
they leave stakes on the turf on, hopefully?
My HRN partner, Bobby Newman, is actually going to be live and in color at Tampa Bay for the Tampa Bay Derby.
As opposed to in black and white?
He was he's been known to be in black and white. But yeah, Bobby said Bobby was taking a look at the forecast. Looks like the rain's supposed to come in mid-morning and unfortunately hang around all day. I don't think it's going to be enough to take the stakes off the turf.
Well, hopefully the stakes stay on. And I feel bad for them. It is one of their big days. They get so little rain. It's a shame to get it, but that's what happens when you play the game outdoors. Race number 1. Well, with the scratch of my brother Neil, we'll take a look at the one that's left, Full Moon Fever. It's going to be about 1 or 2 to 5 in here. And I've sort of seen enough of Full Moon Fever and thought my brother Neil was a more likely winner in here. To me, they tower over the field. My brother Neil comes out, Full Moon Fever. They've all got to get a mile and an eighth. Doesn't seem like it should be a problem for him. He's had his chances, but he has lost. Last time he lost to Brad Cox, who was a they knew of all time, and the pace kind of held together. He made his run. He gets blinkers on, and Full Moon Fever is supposed to win today at a super, super short price.
Yes, he is. The blinkers are going to go on, I guess, in the hopes of getting him to be a little bit closer. This is a horse that he really doesn't have any speed. He lags and he drops back, and we'll see if the blinkers help him. Some horses look like they'll benefit from blinkers. Some horses look like they're just kind of slow early. He reminds me of the latter, but we'll see what the blinkers do this afternoon. I want to take a little swing against him.
Okay, what am I missing?
Well, I just went to Cox's Ledge, a son of Tonalist, who was a gelding first time out. They're going to stretch this horse out today. Got into a little bit of trouble entering the far turn in his debut.
Little being the operative word.
He got into a little bit of trouble. I'm not saying he didn't, but he seemed to react to that, and he kind of backed up. And I don't want to say he took himself out of the race. He's supposed to be in front now. With,
he is?
Yeah, he'll be in front of these horses with my brother Neil out.
Well, he's
no
not supposed to be in
about it.
front of Rum Done by a C, but okay. I'm not sure why you think he'd be in front of that one, but okay, maybe. We'll see I guess if Louis Carnese gives an aggressive ride, but he doesn't have any speed base in his first race, but maybe he'll have more in the second start. I'm not sure why you think he's going to be in front of these.
I like him because I think Louis will be aggressive, and I think he'll put him.
Why wouldn't Benji Hernandez be aggressive with Rum Done by a C?
He could be. I guess he could, but I
foolish not to be.
I didn't see much out of this horse in his first 2 starts that would lead me to believe that he's going to be forward. Now he gets a dry track for the first time.
He's a considerably more likely winner than your horse. I mean, win or lose, he's a considerably more likely winner than your horse. His first race is actually good.
So we're at 65.
We are. You won 2. I know.
Then we're at 64.
Oh, the 1 versus the 2? Oh, sure. I'll do that.
Do it for one lunch?
Oh, sure. Okay. 65.
64.
Yeah. We're at 65.
No, we're at 64. If I won 2 because I won the essential quality bet, he was
he was one of the 2 bets.
Okay.
You won the
it
odds
was at 66, so now it's 64.
Oh, wasn't it 67?
Yeah, no, it was 66. No, because we joked, as you said,
I believe you. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
My memory's not as sharp as once was. Okay, good luck with Cox's Ledge. Didn't see it, but okay.
Right.
See what happens. Race number 1, 4-horse field. Heavy favorite. Race number 2. Race number 2 is a bit of a headache. The thing about it is, all 3 horses that seem like players in here all have speed.
Yes.
You're going to try to get the mile with probably the best horse of all of them, Bulwark, but I'm starting to wonder if this horse can run anymore. He's got to get a mile, man.
I don't disagree. The day he broke his maiden with that big figure, he was kind of riding the bias that day.
But he's run well in some other races.
Well
he had
since.
excuses. No, he had excuses in races before that.
And
problem is his form has fallen apart since that race.
I believe, and you know, this was a tough race. This race gave me a little bit of a headache. I believe he's the best horse in the race, and ultimately, yes, he has to deal with the mile.
What happened to him last time?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to him last time. I don't have a good answer for you.
You say he's the best horse in the race, and there was a time at one time where. Well, actually, I'm not sure. At one time, Mental Magic was the best horse. In the race.
Model. Yeah.
Mental Model.
Before he walked into the starting gate.
But I mean,
you listen. This is one where I'll be completely honest with you, my friend. This was 8 X's. I went through this and I couldn't find one.
I
X'd them all out, and then I had to go redo the race because you got to pick horses. And I wound up on a horse that does have some speed. He's probably the speed of the speed coming out of the sprints.
He is the speed of the speed if they want to be aggressive.
And if he's the best horse, I just hope he gets in front. You know, they're 16-2 lives for a reason. They don't like to pass horses for the most part, and I'm hoping they don't pass him. That was it.
They're supposed to be aggressive. I don't know how they can consider he could get a mile by not being aggressive with him. I don't disagree, and I won't be surprised if he wins. I mean, Mental Model did catch a muddy track in the one race he ran for Linda since coming back from June, and he is dropping into a softer spot than he's been in, but he's another horse. How can you have any confidence he can run at all?
He's never hit the board since being claimed from Chad Brown. He has never hit the superfecta.
Well, the other thing is the win that he was claimed out of with the 88 buyer is a completely dressed up race by a gold rail.
Yeah.
But it was a gold rail.
Gold rail beating a turf horse.
Just ran off on the good rail. So he had reason not to be that good, and he's just, I mean.
I think if you kind of go backwards here, right?
He can win.
Bulwark has, right, he can win. I went a little backwards here. It looks like, to me, Bulwark will be in front. And then I would imagine Curlin's Knight and the horse that you have on top, Umbrella John, not too far behind in second. And I think it's a kind of race where I want the horses, it's like next, if Bulwark comes back, who's going to take the lead from him? And then so on and so forth. And eventually somebody's going to hit the wire first.
Well, as far as other speeds, Umbrella John is the second fastest horse early wants to be. He was dreadful last time. There's no question about it. He does get a rider switch to Benji Hernandez, and he does have other races. And the thing was, when he ran very well behind Pier 40, he actually did rate off of a very fast pace that day.
Yes, he did.
So he's shown he can sit off a horse and still run a competitive race. No question, his last race was atrocious. I don't know what happened last time out. Maybe he got good, and now his form is just falling apart, and that's a distinct possibility. But he does get Benji Hernandez, who rode him when he ran well in that race before. So I'm going to take him, getting back to Benji. He's the best price of the major contenders in here. The other thing is, you know, who do you want if the race falls apart? See, I don't want any part of Curlin's Knight. I think he was on the rail last time. He's been second by massive margins by total default. I think he looks better than he is for that reason. I don't know if No More Miracles can get a mile, but he would actually be my horse to pick up the pieces if it totally fell apart. I'd rather have him.
Yeah, I guess. Listen, this was a headache. This was a headache.
All right. Race number 3. Race number 3, now, if you'd looked at Sunday's card, you would know that Inside Info and American Rule were both coming out. They were 2 major players in this race, which changed the dynamic a great deal. Will you like the number 6, Money in the Bank?
Yeah, this was essentially a coin flip for me. I could have went 2-6 or 6-2. I just thought Money in the Bank getting the claim. You know, this was bumping up in class, and ordinarily, I would not be thrilled with that when they're, again, these conditioned claimers. I think you got to deal with the conditioned claimers a little bit differently than you do the open claimers. This horse is going to bump up in class in the condition level, but he gets the trainer switch, and yes, it is a bump up in class for the sake of the price tag, but this is not a real bump up in class. I mean, I think you could argue that Brilliant Brooks that day ran much better than a 25-3 life.
I slightly disagree with that. I don't think he's in a tougher class, and he can certainly win the race. I don't agree. As you know, I didn't like Brilliant Brooks at all last time.
You did not.
And he ran poorly.
He did.
I think that Beyer figure is never, ever going to hold up under any scrutiny.
That's fair
I
enough.
don't think that's a good field. He beat, let's be fair, he beat Latin Love Bug by 2 lengths.
I got
Would
you.
you have him in here? Now, he's a claim for Chris Englehart. I absolutely think he can win. Obviously, I picked him second. Well, I scratched into him second when 2 horses I had above him scratched, but he can win. I mean, I guess.
You know why I ultimately picked him, Andy? I ultimately made the coin flip decision with him over Mr. Phil because he has just been more consistent
That's
than
fair.
the rest of these horses, and that was it.
Tapazirance and True Believe, 2 back for Tapazirance. He came back 10 minutes later after his last race and didn't do any running off the claim. They ran 2-3. Now, I like True Believe in this race, and I think I was right. It was a good pick. Took a lot of money. It was a good pick. He ran a winning race. He just got caught into a buzzsaw. There was a Rudy horse, Macho Jack, that was the biggest tip in the history of racing. Despite terrible form, somehow came back and won at 2-1. And Tapazirance had run back to his last race. I don't trust Tapazirance off the claim. He's run another race since then. I won't be surprised when True Believe runs well in this race, though. I know it's another situation. I think it gets to the point you were making. He's in a $14,000 claimer. The race was fast. I don't care how you cut it. And he improved and got back to some of his better races for Antonio Arriaga. I could have put him on top. As far as Mr. Phil, he ran a winning race last time against what I thought, 2 back, a reasonable field. Now, that was the day to have him. He was a big price. There'll still be a fair enough price.
You liked him that day. You used him.
I did like him. I did well with him last time.
I mean, last time he caught a muddy track, a surface he really hasn't had.
He was also wide against a rail that was good, and he was caught 3 to 4 wide in that race. He had a bit of a trip. Montauk Traffic was much, much better. That was a ton better field than he's running into.
And getting back to my first point, again, now this is a drop from the 50 to the 35. This is a legitimate drop. Those horses that he ran against last time.
Against a bunch of horses that are moving up.
Yes, against a bunch of horses that are moving up. That's what made him a little bit more attractive. Like I said, though, the consistency of Money in the Bank is what ultimately lead me to put him on top. But they're the 2 horses I'm using in here in multi-race bets.
I hear you. Now, keep in mind that morning line, there was 3 to 1 on the entry because of American Rule. Promo code on his own would have been 15 or 20 to 1, I imagine.
And should be.
So keep that in mind. That morning line is skewed because of the scratches, and I assume that Insider from Info, I don't know what price David had him, but I imagine he was one of the favorites.
Right?
Yeah, he was 3 to 1 as well. So this line will change considerably. And the thing is that Money in the Bank now becomes like 6 or 8 to 5 based on his line. When you consider the scratches, another thing to consider as well.
Right.
Mr. Phil will be a slightly better price. Race number 4. The truth is that Bourbon Rising may be the horse to beat, but I'm going to tell you something. He did not run a step last time.
He stunk.
He didn't get bet because he should have been a more clear-cut second choice to Democratic Values. He took no money and did absolutely no running, and now he drops again. And obviously he's the horse to beat of his best races, but how can you trust him?
You can't. You can't. I picked him, and I don't think you can trust him. But at the very least, he gets the blinkers on. He's going to get back to the mile. His best race was going the mile 3 starts back. I'm hoping that he's just more of a miler. But I have 0 trust in this horse. 0.
He's a very hard horse to trust, but he can obviously win. And the thing is, you look at Orphan Halley and Grecian Pharaoh, who come out of 2nd and 4th place finishes, distant ones, to a heavy favorite in the February 12th race. That was just a very, very weak bunch. Now, that's not to say they can't win. Either one of them can't win. I've had about enough of Grecian Pharaoh after that race. He should have run much better than that.
Me too.
I'm not going to, I've got a little bit of a thing for him, but at this point, last time was the time he was supposed to show up with a decent effort. I'm just wondering if he just...
He didn't run 2 steps last time.
Right, and horses like lots and lots of chrome. He's a 3-year-old. Today's the first day I think the 3-year-olds are running against the olders, right? I guess we wait till March. Now, as far as Kith, I laugh when I picked him because you're teasing me about picking Bobby Robato. He's the first Bobby Robato horse I've picked.
It is.
But his dirt races are good enough to beat these. I mean, I don't think you can deny it. And I think because Bobby's training him and doesn't run many horses, I thought he'd be a slightly better price. And I think you'll get in the 4 to 1 range on him. So I took him. We'll see how it plays out. But
and you know what? I think he's probably going to benefit from a little bit of a stretch out here. I think the mile's probably going to help him a little bit.
But he was, well, his dad was a sprinter, so I'm not sure where that comes from. But he was 2, 3, 4 wide last time out. There's a day you wanted to be on the rail, so I thought he had a bit of an excuse there, and that was a total rail race. It was wired, so I think he was compromised by the dynamics in the race last time out. The mile actually concerns me.
And at the the mile doesn't concern me with him. I think he'll be okay with the mile. And the thing with him is as well, he only has 2 dry track races. And, he just, frankly, as opposed to some of these others, just hasn't had as many chances to disappoint.
Right, but his dry track races are marginally better, if at all, than his wet tracks. And keep in mind,
you don't think his first the race against Joint and Several?
Six and a half furlong race. You really want to sing the praise of that field?
No,
you want to back that figure up?
I guess not, but I mean...
Well, his last race where he was against the racetrack, he ran the same fig on a muddy Harrowed track. Maybe the muddy Seal track he didn't run well, but the Harrowed racetracks he's been fine. And I wouldn't want to, consider his last race a super wet track.
I think you got to keep in mind, too, you brought it up, and we have a minute.
Well, the
3-year-olds running against the older horses now. For the most part, I am not a big fan of that. But when you get to the conditioned claimers, and you'll see it more so in the maiden claiming races, doesn't worry me as much because you can make the argument that, well, the maiden claimers who are 4 and 5 years old, horses like Lorenzen who are 0 and 15, even the 2 horses we picked, 0 for 6, 0 for 7, they've had a lot of opportunity to get out of this condition, and they quite simply haven't. So while it bothers me a little bit, lots and lots of Chrome's the kind of horse, he had the 2 months, he dropped in, he ran okay, he got Lasix last time, he gets blinkers
he
this time.
He ran okay? No, he didn't.
I mean, he ran better than he ever had.
And he's running against a weaker field.
Yeah. It would shock you if this horse improved a little bit today with the blinkers and was on the money. It wouldn't shock me.
Shock me? Nothing would particularly shock me. And it would shock me if Lorenzen was competitive in here. I'm not going to go out on a limb.
But I think the tale here is I would be careful as the class gets better. Be careful with the 3-year-olds.
I don't worry about that. I think the best horses are the best horses. And if a 3-year-old is fast enough to beat the olders, he's going to beat them, or she's going to beat them. If they're not, they're not. I mean, I don't really. I look at it differently. I don't think they get in the gate and go, oh my God, they're all older than me. I can't run. I mean, that's the suggestion, right?
No,
they're intimidated because they're older.
The suggestion is some of these horses aren't even 3 years old yet. And they're running against
but maybe they're better,
5 and 6-year-olds.
But maybe
they might be
better horses.
They might be.
If they're a better horse is not even 3 years old yet, who cares? I mean, a faster horse is a faster horse.
From my experience and my preference, the better the class, the more it bothers me. In these maiden claiming races, I wouldn't let it bother me as much.
It doesn't bother me at all. But the only weird stuff bothers me. We'll take a break. That's the first 4. That starts the pick 5. Of course, the Empire 6 extended going on forward. By the way, paying that out every single day. A mandatory payout in the Empire 6 every day. No jackpot. Race number 5. The rest of the card after a quick break.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Big A Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling, late pick 4, race number 5. And this is a race where you and I agreed on the shipper, the 6 Indian Counselor. We'll take a look at his last race in the dirt at Churchill. He's had a lot of chances. He's just 1 for 13. He's 0 for 8 on the dirt. He's never won on the dirt. He seems to have found the right field. I don't trust him, but I didn't want to pick against him.
You know, I ordinarily hate picking horses like this. They've never won on the surface, but, man, he's got some races at Churchill Downs and Keeneland. And since that April layoff, all 4 of his dirt races would just horrify these horses, especially the last 2.
Horrify?
Oh, my God. What would they do to this field? Whew.
So they'd watch it, they'd be horrified.
Even money, yeah. It'd be like watching Halloween.
Feature.
Be like creature feature, yeah. The horse from the Black Lagoon. I mean, yeah, I didn't. And it's the same thing. You know, it's a little bit of a fresh face against a bunch of horses that we have just seen struggle to get out of this condition.
I agree. Now, let's talk about the racetrack, because this horse has no speed.
0.
And if we, you know, it's not like even with the rain on Saturday and Sunday, it's not like the rail was ever bad. Rail was still a good place to be on Saturday and Sunday, despite a lot of riders staying away from it. I understand they did, but when guys went down there like that Bruce Levine horse, they had no problem running up the rail.
There was success.
So if you're not at least a little concerned that that ridiculous rail bias that dominated the racing here for 3 weeks in a row, if you're not at least a little bit concerned and keeping an eye out for it, it's going to rear its ugly head again. It would be really awful if that kept going on, especially with a day like Gotham Day tomorrow. I'd hate to think a race like the Gotham and the other stakes are affected by the racetrack, but I'm concerned about it. And this horse, if we have a track like we had for 3 weeks, hang on, this horse has no chance.
It's an obvious concern. I'll tell you 2 things that give me some hope. Well, look, we're talking about a horse that's going to be prohibitive. If you put a gun to my head and asked for one rider that has understood the bias,
but that
it's
doesn't,
been
well, except when he hasn't. Except the races where he's been,
for the most part, it's been
there's been some races where you wondered if he's not two different people.
That's number 1. Number 2, I have enough faith in him that he is going to get this horse to the inside if it's the case.
He's an even money shot, Anthony.
Yeah, well,
it's going to be way against the racetrack if we have a track like we had. I understand all those things you want to say, but the reality is the chances of this horse getting a winning trip, if we have the kind of racetrack we had for the majority of 3 weeks here, then I would be a little concerned. More often than not,
he's not going to get a winning trip, and now there's just, it looks like there's another obstacle in his way. I completely understand.
You can talk about Eric, and you can say all those things. He's not 8-1. If he's 8-1 or 6-1, I'm with you. He's even money morning line. This is a horse, let me put it this way. Regardless of whoever rides him, would you bet him or book him if we had, at even money, if we had the racetrack we've had for a number of days the last 3 weeks?
No question about it.
Right, so I think it's more important that way. I'm not, I'm going to assume these riders have figured out the racetrack by now. Nobody's figured out better than Trevor McCarthy. I think that the Color Me Pozzi is kind of interesting dropping in here. He was in against a significantly better horse, and even though he finished behind Dangerous Edge last time, I actually thought he ran kind of a better race.
Yeah, I mean, he ran well, and again,
You go to the movies when somebody's crinkling and stuff.
There's only one level between the 40 and the quarter, but, I mean, this horse is taking a significant drop in class.
And I don't think he's run that badly in his races. Who was the other speed in his race? First Line. He ran a 55 Beyer. He came back with a 73 and an 82 in his subsequent starts. I actually thought about putting him on top, and I kind of regret I didn't because I don't want even money on Indian Counsel, even though I agree with you. He towers over these horses if he runs his races. But I thought Color Me Pozzi's an interesting horse because anything, okay, if we have a big inside track, I don't really think Force is going to be tough in here. You want to trust him? You've got him second.
I have him second as, do you want to know why he's second? For the reason you just said.
I hear you.
He's track insurance. Because if the track is the same way, he's going to get to the top under Manny Franco, he's going to get over, and he's going to have control of the race. The race goes through him. Now, that can change.
I'll use him if the track has shown me that it's that track.
That can absolutely change, and that's why you always have to pay attention.
If you knew it was a fair track, would you have him in your top 4?
I'd probably have him 4th.
Yeah. Because that race was terrible.
I
know
agree.
Spitball was 3 wide, he was 2 wide, but that was an awful. Look at the PPs of Liam's Fire. I know Liam's Fire rode the gold rail. That was that weird track where it looked like a gold rail for 3 races and the track seemed to change. And I'm convinced that track probably changed. So I can't. I just can't. I mean, Dangerous Edge is sort of logical, but I thought Color Me Botsy might be more interesting than Dangerous Edge in there. So
And it'll be big. It'll be a bigger price.
yeah, I'm going to use Color Me Botsy. I may end up betting him to win. I probably should have put him on top. And you know, we'll see how the track is playing because I mean, until we get to a period where we've got a few days and the track's back to normal like it was for almost the entire winter. I mean, weather would interfere occasionally. There's nothing you could do about it. But in the days that weather wasn't involved, we had a super fair track here.
There's probably not a race more affected on the card than this one, for the simple fact that if it's in the fifth, for the simple fact that if it's a fair track, Indian Council are supposed to just have.
Well, he's the horse to beat, and the 3's in a big trouble. But
and they're the favorite and the second choice on the morning line. So I would think also that the track will dictate the tote board. Well, if it's been the way it's been, Unrelenting Force will be a shorter price than he probably should be, whereas Indian Council could be a little bit higher if it's the other way around and it's gone and it's even.
Well,
You're
let me
looking at
say
horses
something
3
else.
to 5 in here.
Forgetting about the bias, and I'd actually be interested in talking to David about this, if there's no bias affecting the betting, how is the 3 7-2 and the 7 10-1? How does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't. But I would have to think that at this point,
I think the
5 days out, David has to be taking it into account.
I agree, because the 3 is going to be massively overbet.
Right, open lengths, Spitball's supposed to be a shorter price than open lengths. But he's not, because my assumption would be on Sunday, Monday, when David was doing this, the one thing that was constant was open lengths was the number 1 and Spitball's the number 7. That's going to make, if it's an even track, Spitball has to be a shorter price than probably both the 1 and the 3.
And also, Spitball has to, I don't know about those things. Open lengths, I have no idea how you could play him in here, but who knows? He's totally random. There can't be that big a spread, I think, between the 3 and 7. I don't think, unless you think this is a bias, but maybe maybe David would disagree.
I agree.
Race number 6, we'll take a look at Malibu Mischief. We'll go to Saratoga's last race in New York. Let me ask you a question. You trust this horse going 7 furlongs today?
I don't necessarily trust her, but you know what? Do I really trust any of these at this point? And if I don't have any trust, I'm going to take the horse that is just, on paper, exponentially faster than these horses. I mean, her last 2 efforts are against Stakes Company down at Laurel, one of which was the previously undefeated at Laurel, Hello Beautiful, finally threw in a clunker in the Barbara Fritchie a couple of weekends ago, but she was 7
what happened to her? Did she
I
show
don't know.
speed?
She just didn't fire. She was like 3 to 5.
I don't trust this horse. I know this horse.
Yeah, and I understand that.
And let me say something else. With the presence of Rude Awakening, and you know that Kay Davis is aggressive, shouldn't this horse have some company on the front end? Rude Awakening's not slow. Awakening's quick.
Yeah, she's faster than her, though.
She's faster. She wants to be.
I
We'll
think Kendrick
see.
will be more aggressive.
I don't know. We'll see. Then Katie? Katie sends everything. I don't know about that. This horse can win. She's obviously the horse to beat, but 7 furlongs with the presence of another speed concerns me. If she was lone speed,
that's fine,
and it was 7 furlongs, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't know. Why is she racing down in Maryland? Maybe there were just no races for her here, but still, Delaware. I want to
try and get her a little. I mean, she went down there and got a little black type. She finished 3rd in one of those listed races.
She was a tremendous claim for $12,000 by Rudy. No question about it.
He had a little value to her as a brood mare. If it was $10,000, it's $10,000. She ran 3rd in $100,000. He got 10, and he adds 10 on $20,000 now for the brood mare value.
They got lovely Lady Lexi off the no to claim as Double or Nothing, and we'll show them Double or Nothing is an interesting horse in this race because she was on a dead rail 3 races back. She comes back with a win. Last time out, this race she ran well. This is a race 4 back. This is when Lovely Lady Lexi wins. But as far as Double or Nothing, last time out she was 3 wide against a gold rail. So
she didn't run that badly.
She did not run badly at all. I think you have to worry about her is she's got a heavy workload. She ran January 10th. She ran January 21st. She ran January 31st. She ran February 6th. She did get a big break into her last race, 20 days off. Now she comes back in 7 days. Now she's shown she can handle it. I think the question you have to ask yourself is at some point, does the clock strike 12?
6th race in 63 days.
Yeah, does the clock strike 12 at some point?
That's a heavy workload.
But
if you are spreading in this race, I think you'd be very foolish to leave Double or Nothing off your tickets at 6 to 8 to 1 for a filly that, you know what? Like you said, even with that workload, all right, the race 3 back with Fair Lassie, where she was, I don't know how she wound up fighting for the lead that day. Save that effort. What has she done wrong this year? Talk about consistency in a short amount of time.
Yeah. What do you like about Flat Awesome Jenny in this race?
Well, if there is some pace on, I like the way she ran for John first time out.
Really, the absolutely perfect trip with the suicidal duel in there, where she beat Cover. She beat Cover Photo, who ran a better race than her and came back and ran horribly.
Again, if there is that pace, and
what pace?
If Rude Awakening and
you think there'll be a suicidal speed duel between Rude Awakening and that
I
horse?
don't know about suicidal, but the 7/8.
But isn't
I mean the 7/8 has to help her, doesn't it?
Listen, I don't like her, so we have a different opinion here.
Okay.
I mean, I've got her 4th, but Anthony can't get a better trip than she got last time, and she'd barely beat Cover Photo, who actually had a tougher trip than
Right,
she
but she
did.
gets an extra 1/8 of a mile, and I think
Barely beat Cover Photo.
If
Why the extra 1/8 of a
Malibu
mile?
Mischief faces some pressure and can't handle the 7, I think it's going to benefit her the most.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we disagree. I like Miss Mimi. Miss Mimi's a horse who was way against it last time out. She was basically 4 wide last time on a rail wire job, and the rail was very, very good, and gets a trainer switch to Mike Maselli, who I think is doing a super job. I want his horses off trainer changes. I think that's a very interesting one. I thought she ran well enough to be effective in here 3 races back. She did not run particularly well 2 races back. No question about it. But it was a muddy sealed track. And last time out, she didn't run that badly with a major, major excuse. I think she's a very, very interesting horse in here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she's a player.
Yeah. Can I take 2 versus 1 for 2 lunches?
Sure.
Just the one plain.
Plain one, yes.
Yes. 2 lunches.
One lunch.
One? Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
don't have
right.
a lot of faith
we
in
can
these
do
horses.
one. It's all right. I don't want to take these lunches away from you. Can you find like a really good hot pastrami on rye with mustard? Actually, you know what? You get 2 lunches off. You brought an awesome lunch here on Saturday.
All right.
I know that pizza. Whew. Sorry, Anthony.
got it.
I want everybody to know you're already at 62. That was a lunch. That was 2 lunches, wasn't it?
It was.
That was
It
good.
was.
I was like Anthony eating those pizzas.
Andy
I ate 3
came-
pieces in about 15 minutes.
Andy came up to the booth for the first time since I've been back in Johnny I up here at Aqueduct. And Andy came up for the one race. We had the fog on Saturday.
That was
so
funny.
Andy is now no longer allowed in the announcer's booth at Aqueduct.
That was funny, though. That was funny.
I mean, it
came and
we
went.
couldn't
Thank
see,
God it was gone in
We
the
couldn't
race.
see the 16th pole.
Yeah.
We literally couldn't
was
see
funny.
outside the 16th pole. It was unbelievable. I said, this guy came in the air and is all you can see.
And it wasn't foggy like 20 minutes before the race, right?
I saw it after the first. I was like, what's going on here? It came down. And as soon as it came down and you left, it went up.
I'd never been in the booth for a fog. That was cool. No, that was fun.
Well, listen, the camera angles that the TV crew here and Amy Lim and Eric Donovan have
Even some of them you
provided
couldn't
us.
see.
But there was 1 or 2 on Saturday that was tough. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
It was
funny.
tough.
Yeah, that was definitely funny. David thinks that we're wrong, and he absolutely thinks that there's going to be a big discrepancy of price in those horses in the race.
Okay.
He's usually right.
He's usually right.
So we'll see. Race number 7. Now, this is a horse who lays over the field that I'm not trying to beat in timely tradition. I guess some people will look and say, oh, it's a mile. She's been going 6 and 7. I mean, she's just better than these horses. And the other thing that people should know is she's supposed to stalk Violent Trick. She's so much better than that horse. I mean, she lost to a horse, Let Me Take This Call, who was on fire before meeting the boys over the weekend, a very tough spot in the mud. And she's also a miler. She's got 2 big races, much cheaper for Christophe Clement. Very early in her career, one at Belmont,
Bunch of moons ago.
But she was running
fine.
mid-70 buyers in $12,000 claiming races going a mile. So I don't see why it should be a problem.
You see it. She has halves. I don't have them off the top of my head, but this is still an old Firestone mare. She has halves that have run well.
But she's
going
done
a mile,
it.
mile 60.
She's
And
done
more
it.
importantly, she has done it.
Doesn't matter her pedigree.
Yeah,
She's done
but
it.
I'm just saying, it's not like this is something alien to her and to the family. I mean, she's 2 for 4 at the mile. It's right there in your PPs.
And they're legit races if you look them up.
I mean, she's supposed to get a good setup in here. Another one.
Well,
you know,
depends. If the rail's cold, she's going to be outside.
right. But she's been. I mean, you want to talk about a horse that since Ray
You worry
Handel,
about her trip here? You like her trip mattered to you in here? You didn't just think she was the best horse? She's the best horse by city block.
I understand that, but I think she's also the 7, and if the track is still
Well, she's not supposed to be in the rail because the one's supposed to go.
Yeah.
The one's quick.
One is quick.
Where does Stand for the Flag? Where did this race come from?
You know, here's the only, it's not an excuse. The only, I guess this
Let's
would be
take a
the
look at
only,
Stand for the Flag's last race.
The only reason I can
much
give you
more attractive than Anthony Rai.
The only reason I can give you, my friend, is the moisture in the track. And I know there wasn't a lot, but every
She
time
had
there's some
moisture 3
water in
races
the track,
back, and she stunk. No, not every time.
three of her fastest, well, I guess her best race ever was on a wet track. Her second fastest race on paper was on a wet track last time. I mean, it's kind of obvious to me that she needs a little help from Mother Nature.
What about her race 3 back?
Her race 3 back was okay.
It was?
It was her first start in 9 months.
Okay. All right. No,
She ran
you're
a
right.
go for one.
Maybe you're right. She also got a fast pace to close into last time, which really helped her. I don't like this horse. I've never liked this horse.
I don't
want
either.
no part of this horse.
But I'll tell you what, this is a horse where if it would have rained, I would have had her second here.
It hasn't rained
I know.
in a while.
This is the first time.
Got a big run of good weather coming up.
First time since December we haven't had we've had 3 consecutive dry days.
Wasn't it supposed to be warmer this week than it was?
Supposed to
that
be warmer
one warm day.
Monday starting next week. After
Yeah, but
Sunday.
I thought it was supposed to be warmer this week, and it didn't.
They
One
had
day.
Wind. They had wind. They had
No,
wind, but no
I know
precip.
the wind.
The wind is
I
ridiculous.
live on the water. I know it's windy.
Wind is ridiculous.
Let's talk about Maiden Beauty. I mean, this horse has kind of turned it around, and I thought she showed it in the second race off the claim for Tony Dutrow, who his horses seem to be running like the Tony Dutrow we knew for so many years.
They do.
And it's not like she was on the rail last time. Ice Princess is okay. I know she's moving up, but she's in very good form, Anthony.
She is, but she got a great setup last. I mean, she was right on top of a slow pace.
I don't know. I thought she ran. Ice Princess had no excuse not to beat her.
No.
She was a heavy favorite.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't love her, but
I
you
got a
think she's
third. You
impossible?
got a
Right,
second. I got a third.
yeah,
Nah, I mean,
she's in good form.
I wanted to get a little goofy with my man Kelly Breen and John Atfield with Persisto. I thought Persisto was just a little interesting in here. If you go 2 back when she ran here at Aqueduct going a flat mile, she ran into Ujjayi, who came back to I think she was third.
Ujjayi? That's how you pronounce it?
Ujjayi. It's yoga. It's a form of yoga.
What is it? Yoga, mice,
Yeah,
master
I'm a yogi.
You're
I'm a big yogi.
You're a yoga instructor, right?
I'm a yogi.
When you leave here at night, you go and you.
I'm a yogi bad. So she was on top of a pretty good pace 2 starts back when, to me, it's kind of obvious her speed's kind of left her, and her best races, that race back at Delaware where I know it wasn't too fast, it was from off the pace. I think if Trevor allows her to settle and make one run as opposed to get her involved, I think she might be all right. And
I had her 5th. I could have thrown the 5 out and had her 4th.
She's going to be a little bit of a price. So as far as playing the race vertically, playing some exactas, playing some tries, I think she's the horse that can kind of jazz things up at 8 to 1.
See, out of that race, I actually prefer Stay Smart, because Stay Smart, she broke sharply. She was on top. Then she
out
got
of the Laurel. I was talking about our race. You're talking about out of the Laurel.
But I'm
race.
talking the
Okay.
last race they ran together.
Yep.
She got shuffled out on the inside. She was steadied around the 5/16 pole. She was right down on the rail, which may not have been the best place to be. And you go back with her 3 starts back. She's got that race at Monmouth. She's got races that make her competitive in here. So I thought she was a little more interesting to price. I don't disagree with you about Persisto. I think Persisto and Stay Smart will run better than maybe you would project them in a tough field. I'm just afraid even if either one of them runs their race, they're just not good enough.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
It's
a tough race.
Yeah, I mean,
I hear you with a 6.
I'm singling Timely Tradition today in the pick 5. That's she's my single today. But it's fun, and normally when I have a single, I will, and if I have a little bit of an opinion, I'll play the race vertically. I'll be playing a 7-6 in here. I'll make some tries. I'll use Stay Smart. You're right. Stand for the Flag's the kind of horse where I could have pitched her to and just went 7-6, 2-4.
And if you're right about the wet track, and I don't think that's an invalid point. I think that's at least fair. And she also got a very good setup.
She did.
I was just surprised she was actually running because I think so little of her.
They went fast. Gone Glimmering made the lead a little early, and she's kind of tired a little bit later on in the game. But yeah, I mean,
the thing about Stand for the Flag is whenever she's been in a race and a dry track, when she's looked somewhat logical on paper, and you and I had a big argument about her last year when she was 75 cents a dollar, and that was December 19. 2015, I remember saying to you up here, she's not any good. Just stay away from her, and that was with Jason Service.
Yep.
So I'm not a big fan.
I got to
of hers.
imagine a wet track would play a role for her.
Now listen, maybe she finds her way, and Rob Atras, obviously. So it's not like she can't win. She's just not a horse that I want any part of.
Correct.
Especially, let me ask you a question. Another David line. Do you really think that the 7's going to be 2-1 and she's going to be 5-2? See, I think the 7's going to be 6-5 in here.
I don't know. People are going to see
the mile.
They're going to see all the sprint races.
But then, aren't they going to look at the paper and see that she's 2 for 4 at a mile?
But they're still going to see all the sprint races lately, right? There's 12 on. You do like we do when we print them out. There's 12 races on the card.
What price do you think Time of Tradition will be?
I don't know. She could listen. You know why? This is why I'd be a terrible morning line odds maker. I would make horses prices that I would make them, and to me, she's 6-5.
I'm just wrong all the time. I just have a bad opinion on it. So.
I don't know what she's going to be. I mean,
I would not have made Greatest Honor 9-5 in the race last week.
It was about Mono Girl even money, no?
I got a little even money on her. Yeah, I bet a few million on her at even money. So I'm in good shape. I was worried on the turn.
I mean,
I was a little worried for a second. The turn, I thought she might not be running.
Was even money, right? How many people would have been homeless?
That was funny.
Emptying out in even money.
No homeless jokes.
Fight night was 9-5 on the morning line.
I'll tell you what, I should have bet the exacta with that horse for Cherie running second.
Yeah, you should have. You mentioned that horse.
I always liked that horse. I think that horse is pretty good. Finite going long?
No part of it.
No,
I made a small exacta with another horse.
I feel bad that all those races at Oklahoma were running that goofy track last week, and they just had terrible weather. I was talking to Maggie, who had some fun down there. We got to get that bobblehead. How about that IRAD bobblehead in the Klarovich silks? Oh, yeah. We got it.
She's something, though, isn't she? Monomoy girl.
Can I get a picture of that? Excuse us.
Get you one on.
We gotta get some of these.
My man Kenny might be in charge of those. I get you one of those.
Well, we gotta get a lot of these.
This guy's unbelievable.
What are you talking about? We gotta get some of those. All right. Back to more important things.
What about a Ron Nicoletti bobblehead? You want one of those?
Ron's a legend. Are you kidding me? Ron's the man. I love Ron.
We should have a Ron Nicoletti.
No Ron is to love Ron. Do you know anybody that doesn't like Ron?
No.
Honestly, he may be the most popular person in racing.
I know people that don't like themselves that like Ron.
Yeah, he may be racing's most popular man, and for good reason. Race number 8. The funny thing about race number 8, I would have picked the 2B in here. I hate the 2. Take a look at Love that 8 Faces race last time. I know the rail hadn't gotten super strong in here, but I think it was starting to get strong. This horse rode the bias. I know she's a little bit off the rail, but she was so with the track. See, I like the 2B New York Banker in here, who last time out chasing that race, going a mile, and the race sort of fell apart. She wasn't on the rail, blah, blah, blah. But I can't pick her because she's part of an entry. The horse is going to be bet for the wrong reasons, at least in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I do. And I don't disagree with what you're saying about Love That Face, who could have very well finished the deal last time and sealed the deal. Yeah, I mean, this is...
Yeah, I like the 2B. The entry, this is an entry that's extremely annoying. It's not the bad entry rule. They're supposed to be an entry, the same connections. But so I can't pick the 2B in here. You like what might have been, and I'm definitely using that horse.
I went back to the horse I picked last time. Now, the horse was off a trainer change last time, missed off about 2 months. Now cuts back from the mile, gets the Lasix, gets the blinkers.
She was also 3 wide against the rail.
She was against the rail when the rail started getting good. Yeah, so
I'm using her.
Yeah,
I'm using her. I agree with you. No problem with her. Listen, Big Tony's girl chased 3 wide, post 10 last time out. What chance did she have against the gold rail? So she's against the bias. I'm getting a little sick and tired of her. I'm going to use the 2, 5, and 7. The 7's the best price.
No threes, no competition queen, no first for Brad Cox.
Brad Cox is first. This is a $10,000 yearling, a first fall from an unraced dam, a $10,000 yearling competitive spirit, and Brad Cox is going to get overbet. Would I have the horse 4th? His numbers with first-time stars in maiden claiming races stink. They do. And he really, I mean, she's here because she's a New York bred.
Obviously. I mean, but you really trust any of these enough?
That was obvious.
Trust any of these enough to...
No, I'm not. I've got her 4th, Anthony, but no.
I don't want to be alive into the pick 5 and catch a coconut
I'd like to be alive, but I'd like to be alive to all in the pick 5. But the reality is I prefer the other horses. And I think this horse will take money because it's Brad Cox. And they just don't win, these horses in general. They really don't. So would I want the horse defensively in the pick 5? Of course. Yeah. But do I like the horse? No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. I want to use the 2, 3, 5, and 7.
Okay. Good to know. Can I bet you the 2B will beat the 2 in the entry?
No.
You've got the 2.
I have no No, no.
Just pointing it out.
I know what I did. I know what I have. You don't know, Mike. You don't know if I like 2 and 2B.
Yeah, I do. If you like the 2B more, you put the 2B on top.
I could like them equally.
No,
they
then
just
you should. No, you should. No, you should.
Registers 2.
No, you're a lazy guy, but you should indicate the one you like more.
How am I a lazy?
And don't give me this because you don't. You always do that.
Well,
I've had
hold
to
on a
yell
second.
at
You
you
go
to
on
fix
the
that. Is
website.
that
It
true?
says 2/2B.
But have I not?
It doesn't say that.
But have we not discussed? Right, okay. Okay.
It has.
It's an honest man. Anyhow, that was fun. It's nice to be back. I've missed you. It's good to be back. Good weekend, of course. Tomorrow, first post is
12:50 early post. Tomorrow we got 10 race card. 4 stakes. They'll run 6 through 9 with the Gotham.
11:30 first for Talking Horses.
Talking Horses 11:30. Yeah, Johnny and I will come on with the changes at 11:20, and we will be here at with the anthem and the changes, and we will be here at 11:30 to 12:20 tomorrow for 10 races, 4 stakes. We'll cover them all on the weekend stakes preview presented by Naira Bets tonight. Sirius 219, XM 201. Stream it live. HorseRacingRadio.net. 15 stakes in all, including the 3 that will be covered tomorrow on America's Day at the Races from 5 to 6. Big weekend. Big. I love here's my favorite. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year. Gotham weekend. Love the Gotham.
I'm with you. Always love the Gotham. One of my favorite races. I remember when Gone West went in the mud slop.
87?
Yeah.
Well, 2 years later, it's one of my favorite horse races.
I was here for Easy Goer. I was up on the 3rd
Once
floor.
that
Unlike
still
you.
stands.
Unlike you, I was here. Oh, you weren't at the Belmont.
I was on the 1st floor where
I missed the wood.
Me and all my friends used to play football and run around the little bit of the concrete patch in the grass patch. I stopped everything.
Run.
I used to run.
Closely.
We stopped everything. 132 and 2.
All right, Yogi Bear.
I'm going to go into the downward dog position now, and as Andy gives you the
Jeremiah Engelhardt liked that.
Where to go.
He enjoyed that.
I'm sure he did. You got to see this guy's Facebook. Wow. What a my man is just.
I don't look at Facebook.
2244. Some of these videos, some of these TikTok videos for Jeremiah Engelhardt.
Jeremiah's big on TikTok.
Off the reservation. I mean, gonzo. Absolutely gonzo. The guy.
But
what a
yet
shame.
another reason I'm not on Facebook. We're done.
Poor Robin. No, we're not done.
Oh yeah, Naira Bets. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present to sign up for Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game. Support racing in New York, particularly. Use promo code MATCH200. We will match to $200 your initial deposit. And members of Naira Bets. Actually, the Gotham Challenge. Now, is this a Naira Bets only?
I don't know. Oh, that's a good question. You know, with the NHC seats, I'm not sure. It's not.
I mean, obviously,
I'm not sure
people can't be here. Well, because what if people can't be here, though?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
Yeah, but they can't be here, so they have to play through Naira Bets, right? In other words, there's nobody allowed at the track.
Oh.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So it probably is. Perhaps somebody will tell me. Anyhow, $3,000 buy-in. You could find all that information out, though, by going to naira.com/challenge. You've got until 5 o'clock today to sign up. And finally, tomorrow, 5 to 6, covering the Gotham, the San Felipe, and the Tampa Bay Derby. 3 big prep races. Did a preview video for that. It's already been tweeted out by Naira Bets and Naira.com. Naira at Naira. But I will tweet it out myself when I get back to my office.
Can't wait.
This was great. I mean, I've had so much fun.
5 days. You've had to do 5 days without me.
I've had enough fun for like a month.
5 days without
We're done.
me.
Johnny I's up next. The reprise, the scratch and changes. Have a great day.
See you tomorrow.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct. Bright sunshine on this Friday. Temperature in the mid-30s. The main track is fast. And in today's first race, scratch number 3, my brother Neil. Scratch the 3, and please note there'll be no show, trifecta, or superfecta wagering on the opener. No changes in the second. In today's third race, which kicks off the Empire 6, scratch 1A, American Rule, and scratch the 3, Inside Info. Scratch 1A and 3. In the fourth, scratch number 5, Loaded Joe. Scratch the 5. No changes in race 5. In the sixth race, we have a scratch. Scratch number 3, Cover Photo. Scratch the 3. No changes in race 7, and no changes in today's 8th and final race. Main track fast. The opener at Aqueduct in 28 minutes at 1:20.
Be a part of the racing action Saturdays at Aqueduct with live money contests available online through Naira Bets. A $300 buy-in adds $200 to your contest